Okay, I would like to welcome everybody to the February 23rd Upper Canada District School Board meeting and invite you all to stand for the singing of O Canada. All right, thank you. Director, proceed with roll call.
Trustee McRae.
Present.
Trustee McPherson. Present. Trustee Richards.
Present.
Trustee McAllister.
Present.
Trustee McMillan.
Present.
Trustee Swan.
Present.
Chair Petersma.
Present.
Trustee McDonald regrets. Trustee Buckland regrets. Trustee Kirkland regrets. I believe that Trustee McDonald and Buckland are on their way in transit. And student trustee Matt Casson.
Present.
All right, thank you. Trustees, I have one addition to the agenda, which will be we will have to move into private session as the personnel matter, and it will be number 7 on tonight's agenda.
Also, Trustee Garrow.
Present.
Present. Thank you. Sorry.
I have a motion to approve the agenda. Trustee Richards, Trustee McDonald. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, I'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Any errors or omissions? Motion to approve the minutes. Trustee McRae, Trustee McMillan. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, move on now to the report from Committee of the Whole Public Session. Are there any comments or questions? We have one motion arising out of the Committee of the Whole, recommended from the Committee of the Whole that the Upper Canada District School Board approve the 2011-2012 modified school calendar for submission to the Ministry by March 1st, 2011. Do I have a mover for that? Trustee McMillan, seconded by Trustee First Vice McPherson. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. All right, tonight we're pleased to have a contingent from Thousand Island Secondary School. I believe we have Ron Hungerford. Did I get that right? Yep. Hungerford. And Randy Rattan to do a presentation on the OFSA Track and Field Championship. Please come up to the mic and begin your presentation.
Thank you, Chair Petersma. It's a pretty exciting proposal, I believe, that we have before the board tonight. It's the OFSA proposal for our Track and Field Championship in 2012, which has never been held in this region for a number of years. You do have the proposal in front of you, and I appreciate you accepting this proposal, the background information. I'd like to share with you a couple of things for those of you who are not aware of what OFSA stands for. And OFSA is the Ontario Federation of School Athletic Associations. It represents 18 regional school athletic associations all across Ontario, including EASA, which we belong to. It's spread across the province and is composed of athletes, students, teachers, coaches, principals, and sport administrators who are committed to the philosophy of education through school sport. And I think that's the key thing here. It's not something outside, it's an equity issue, it's something where we involve all kids that have the opportunity to participate. And there are approximately 270,000 athletes and 16,000 teachers and coaches who participate in school sport across Ontario. Its main priority is to work with volunteer teacher coaches and to provide 46 provincial championships and 5 festivals for Ontario student athletes, most of which we've been involved with. And certainly the provincial championship is something that I present to you tonight with Mr. Hungerford. It has other programs as well. There are school scholarships and awards. There are student leadership programs. There's a coach development program. There are tournament sanctioning across Ontario. There's funding that supports student athletes, and it also takes an active role in dealing with issues that affect student, coaches, schools, and community. It's a very prestigious event across Ontario, and one, as I mentioned before, that we have not had before in this area, and one I'm very proud to be a part of. And I'd like to introduce to you now Ron Hungerford, a long-standing coach. Ironically, and I have to share this with you because I think there is convergence here, when Ron Hungerford came to TIS 35 years ago, I had applied for his job, was unsuccessful and probably rightfully so, but the job that he left in East York is the job that I got as a young person coming out. So Ron and I go back 35 years, and it's with great pleasure that I introduce Mr. Hungerford to you.
Thank you. Chair Petersma and members of the board, it's a pleasure to speak to you this evening about this very exciting event, 2012 on June 7th, 8th, and 9th. Brockville will be the smallest community ever to. This convenership is rotated among the 6 regions across the province. The East region consists of 3 associations, which EASA is one. And the last time that EASA hosted the OFSA Championship was in 1995, when it was held at Richardson Stadium at Queen's University. No. And my daughter had the privilege of participating in that event as a competitor in her final year of high school. Student athletes from across the province come to the event. They must qualify from their regions, and there will be approximately 2,400 athletes who will participate in over 100 events, including 6 events for physically challenged athletes. This is the largest high school track and field meet in North America. It has also been the gateway to the Olympics for a number of medal winners who participated in the OFSA Championships. The number 2 and 3 ranked female hurlers in the world right now, who are members of the Canadian team. Priscilla Lope-Sleep and Perdita Felician are both OFSA champions in their career. Kevin Sullivan never lost an OFSA race through his entire high school career, went on to become a Commonwealth Games champion, placed 4th in the Olympic Games. 3 of the 4 members of Canada's gold medal winning relay team in the Atlanta Olympics all competed at OFSA. Glenroy Gilbert and Robert Esme, multiple medal winners. The only member of the team that didn't win a medal at OFSA, ironically, was Donovan Bailey, who became the world record holder. He was more interested in basketball, but he did participate in track and field. Within our own school board, Sultana Frizzell has just recently won the Commonwealth Games gold medal in hammer throw and is a multiple OFSA champion when she competed for Perth District Collegiate. Julie Green, who's now a teacher coach at North Dundas District High School, competed for that school, won 4 gold medals at OFSA, and has gone on to a very successful teaching and coaching career. Young man who's the defenseman with the Ottawa Senators, Matt Karkner, was also an OFSA medal winner in the javelin. And our very own Stacey Dales from Thousand Islands won 5 gold medals in OFSA track and field, 3 in basketball, and a very successful career as a member of the Canadian Olympic basketball team in 2000 when she was a leading scorer for Canada in the Sydney Olympics. Going beyond the field of athletics, I'm sure many of you have read the award-winning book, The Outliers. Malcolm Gladwell, the author of that book, as an OFSA champion in the 1,500 meters. So this is not only a gateway to the Olympic Games, but for many other avenues that people pursue following their OFSA career. Having the meet in Brockville, we bring many strengths to the table, and I've outlined some of those in the attachment that you have all received. We have outstanding facilities at TIS, as you know, a new track that meets all of the international standards and is accessible for physically challenged athletes. We have a large pool of volunteers in the region. Many of them have been experienced and bring enthusiasm to the event. Brockville is a city that has developed a reputation for hosting large athletic events, and I cite recently the Canada Senior Summer Games and the Fred Page Cup last year. TIS has a long-standing tradition of hosting track and field meets of a championship nature as well as the invitational meet. The teacher coaches at Thousand Islands and EASA have extensive connections with people at the OFSA level and in national and provincial sporting bodies. So they bring that experience and those connections to the table. We also have the proximity to the 401 and via rail, so athletes can travel here quite comfortably. And we have a strong medical support community, and all of these factors contribute to the strengths of this bid. I would be remiss if I didn't include that there are some challenges having this event being hosted in a small town. First of all, with a large number of competitors and coaches and parents coming to the area, it would mean that we would have to provide accommodations for these people in various hotels. Members of our organizing committee have already met with local hotel managers, and they are on board with this. They're very supportive, and why wouldn't they be? Because every room will be full during the meet. Another challenge is the traffic flow in the parking spaces at TIS, and we are going to need the cooperation of the local police department, and I'm sure we can count on that. Spectator capacity. The stands at TIS right now hold 600 people. We have planned to have temporary bleachers set up for an additional 850 people. And site security would be another thing, and we would have to involve the Brockville Police Department in that, plus private security people. There'll be many opportunities for students, teachers, parents, and other interested people in the community to be involved in organizing and conducting the event. It's a rare opportunity for this community, one that may not come around again for another 20 or 30 years. And I hope that we can count on the support of the Upper Canada District School Board in hosting this event. Thank you.
I think in conclusion, Ron has put it very succinctly. I mean, when you think of North America and you think of the United States, and yet this is the largest high school event in North America, that's quite a feather in our caps. And I think you have the proposal in front of you. We do have challenges. There's no doubt about that. It's not held at high schools. It's held at the Etobicoke Olympium. It's held at other sites. We have such a wonderful opportunity, and I would encourage the board to endorse our proposal, support us, and then work with us to meet the challenges as we go forward to 2012 to make this thing the world-class event that we know it can be. So thank you for your indulgence, and we'll take any questions.
Trustees, comments, questions?
I just have one comment.
Go ahead, Trustee McAllister.
This is one of many OFSA events, one of which I had the privilege to coach in my former life as a teacher. And I applaud the ability of TIS and the Upper Canada District School Board to host this track and field event in 2011. I wish Principal Rattan and Mr. Hungerford and all coaches and students the very best. I submit to you my personal support, and I encourage the board to support this world-class event.
Okay, thank you, Trustee McAllister. Any other comments? Trustee McMillan?
I just would like to say that I think it's an excellent opportunity for our school board to shine. But I'd also like to say that I've had the privilege as a teacher to have worked at the same time as Ron Hungerford worked. And there's a generation a generation of students out there who have been blessed by his guidance. And that man alone is worth anything that we can give him in terms of support, because I know that he gave 35 years of his life to the kids in this community, to the athletes in the Rockville area, to the athletes in Ontario. And the man is a testament of quality. And I just want to applaud him for what he's doing. I've admired you for 30 years.
Thank you, Trustee McMillan. I appreciate that.
Any further comments? Okay. Go ahead, Trustee McMillan.
You're asking for support. Be a little more specific.
I think there are challenges that we have from the site administration to security. I think over the next year and a half, it doesn't happen until June 2012. I think the commitment to the board to work with us to mitigate those challenges is really what we're asking for. Quite frankly, it hasn't happened at a school before to this extent, as Ron mentioned, with 2,400 athletes, biggest in North America. So as we progress, I think there'll be things that we will have to take a look at, and I'm hoping that the board, working with us, will help us to do that. And I'm sure the experiences will be profitable for all. So I think it's really more a commitment to, this is good for us, it's good for TIS, it's good for Upper Canada, it's good for Eastern Ontario, and the town has to be behind us as well, because quite frankly, there aren't enough rooms in Brockville to accommodate the numbers of people that we have coming in. So we're going to have to work with everybody. We're going to have to look at what could work as opposed to what won't work. And I think once we do that, I think it'll be very magically attainable. So,
Thank you.
We have three options when it comes to a presentation such as this. We can receive the presentation. We can refer the matter to administration for follow-up and report at the next board meeting, or refer the matter to a committee for review. So we have those three options. I would suggest that we refer it to administration, asking them to develop
contingencies.
We need something that you can do before the next board meeting, because we do have that timeline. So I guess what we really need is there's some issues that are raised inside the report that need to be dealt with. So perhaps we can refer to administration for follow-up report to present to us a strategy to deal and develop with the issues as raised by the presentation. How's that sound?
That's very good.
Is that okay with you? Do you want to move that, Trustee McMillan?
I will move that.
Seconded by Trustee Swan. You got that verbatim, Ms. Raymond? That's good, because I can't repeat it. Any comments or questions? Sorry, go ahead. Trustee McRae?
I was just going to say it's an incredible event and an incredible opportunity, and I'm just looking at the numbers when I look at in terms of teacher, coaches, and volunteers, and it's an overwhelming number of volunteers that you're going to need in order to pull this off. And as well, you know, so much involvement from all of your community partners, your Civitan, your Lions, your Legion, all of those different groups of people. So that part of it, gathering those stakeholders, that's already happening? You're already meeting with those?
Two members of our organizing committee, Mark Lewis, who's at Seaway District High School, and Marianne Carlisle, who lives here in Brockville and is executive director with the OSPCA. They are people who are in charge of the volunteers program, and they've already got a plan in place for that. And informally, we've talked to a large number of these stakeholders. Just as an anecdote, the day after I announced last spring that we had won the bid to host this meet, I had an email from a lady whose son used to run for BCI, offering in whatever capacity that she would like to volunteer, and that was just the first of many unsolicited volunteering that I've received as a convener already, without even going out and asking people. So I think that speaks well for this community and the ability to host the event.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Did you have a comment, Trustee McPherson?
Yeah, it's hard to get a handle on the scale of an event from 3 pages on a laptop computer. The last large event that I recollect being held in Rockville area was the Senior Games. And I see some familiar names on your list as from that group as well. How would this compare in scale to the Senior Games, just as a comparator?
In terms of numbers of athletes, about twice as many. However, we're dealing with only one venue, as opposed to, I believe it was 20 different competition venues. So I'm not trying to evade your question. I think that they're both very large events that probably involve a similar number of volunteers, but this is much more sport-specific.
Yeah, still it's substantial, like, as you say, the largest in North America, a substantial event.
All right, no further comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. You're in favor online, I take it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great, thank you. Thanks very much for your presentation. I certainly wish you well and look forward to updates from administration, and anytime you feel that you'd like to come back and tell us how you're making out, we'd certainly like to hear about it, and we look forward to seeing our students occupying all the podium spots in 2012. So this is a call to all those high school, get working on those kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Petersma.
Yeah, it's our Own the Podium campaign. Thank you, Trustee McDonald, for that. Good one. Okay, trustees, before you have a debenture bylaw 1415. We received some documentation today. Do you want to speak to it at all, or is what I have in front of me suffice, Superintendent Gales? You're looking for a total of a debenture bylaw for a total of $17,508,000. 17. Yeah, it's got a dot here instead of a. Sorry, $17,508,723. Is that correct?
That's correct. The forms, I believe, are attached. There's a number of stack of different legal documents. I can't imagine you'd want to go through them. They are for capital projects. This is a normal process. There is nothing out of the ordinary here. It's simply the requirement of the board to approve the debentures going forward. They are fully funded by the ministry over the 5 years that they will exist.
Any comments or questions? Trustee Buckland?
Just wonder what the maximum debenture we could have as a board. Is this it?
Superintendent Gales?
The amount.
Superintendent Gales, yes, thank you.
The amount of the debenture is based on approvals received by the ministry. So it's not so much a maximum. It's not something you can go out and really acquire without ministry approval. All capital projects, all capital expenditures are approved by the ministry in advance. And this is a formality of moving from short-term to long-term funding for these expenditures. And they're made up of the building of Bankley Kill Collegiate and a number of repair projects, capital projects in various schools. Through Good Places to Learn, funding levels 3 and 4.
Any comments or questions online?
Well, thank you. No, that's fine.
Okay, I have a motion moved by trustee McMillan that, and seconded by trustee McDonald, that the Upper Canada District School Board approved debenture bylaw 14.15 to finance Good Places to Learn Stage 3 in the amount of $2,909,537, Stage 4 in the amount of $3,020,410, and the construction of Van Cleek Hill Collegiate in the amount of $11,578,776, for a total of $17,508,723. Last call for comments or questions. All in favor? That carries. Are you in favor online?
I am.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, that passes. Okay, now we'll move on to the report of the Special Education Advisory Committee, and ask trustee Susan Richards to provide the report. Thank you.
The Special Education Advisory Committee, we met here in the board office on Tuesday, February 8th. We had a presentation from Superintendent Rick Gales and the director, who has left now. Anyways, they came in and did the report on the funding of special education. We also had our superintendent's report, which included the orientation for the new SEAC. And one of the things that Susan did hand out to us was a binder, and it's the orientation binder, so it has all the documents that are of information for the SEAC members. I asked Susan if we could have a copy of this binder put into the trustee room for anyone that needed to look at it at any time, and Susan said that that would be possible. There is also usually a binder in the library out here too for SEAC too. All right. And then we also had an update on the October reports. All these attachments are with the documents here on the website. So that was basically what we did at our meeting.
Okay, are there any comments or questions? Trustee Swan.
I got the agenda in the mail, and I'm just wondering if this is going to be coming on board docs.
They need to expand board docs to allow us to run multiple committees, which they promise us as an add-on at some point. So until that time, they'll continue to come in paper. We can certainly keep copies of the agendas on board docs, should that be a benefit.
Just a cost savings, because the cost of sending these out quickly can not be put on just the main board home.
It can be. It's just a function of delivering it and providing access and the things that committee of the whole. So I think if SEAC wants to go down that route, we'll take direction from them. But I don't know if there's much else. I think that would be a direction from SEAC.
I don't know if it would be valuable for some of our SEAC members. They might not have computers, or they might not have the high-speed connections at their home to be able to log in. So I think they're probably quite happy with the agendas coming to them in the format. If you're just talking about trustees receiving it, then I would, does it have to be on board doc, or could Susan Edwards' office actually send out the PDF file to trustees instead of mailing it to them?
That would be great.
Would that be a solution?
Yeah,
that particular arrangement's always been made on personal level by the trustee with whoever is in charge. So should that be the way that you'd like to receive it, just talk to the superintendent and they'll set that up. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much, Trustee Richards, for the update on report from SEAC. The February 8th meeting. There was some discussion about you moving dates. Has there been any discussion about that?
Not at the SEAC meeting. That was some trustees were concerned about how it makes for two back-to-back nights for some of us
so you
to
just
be
haven't
out.
had a SEAC meeting.
So we haven't discussed it with SEAC
Okay.
yet.
I can speak to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Basically, the situation has evolved that when we moved from first and third for the committee of the whole and the board meetings, going to second and fourth, we created a situation where most months SEOC happens on the
Second Tuesday.
second Tuesday, which predates the committee of the whole meeting. And both groups are quite vigorous. And so for trustees at least, it means 2 back-to-back meetings most months. And so what I've requested is that SEOC give consideration to moving to the first Tuesday, which would free us up and still allow sufficient time for reporting to the board. However, it is their decision, and we'll see what happens next month.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for the report. Move on now to the report from Trustee McDonald on the Ontario Public School Boards Association.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next Board of Directors meeting is actually this Friday and Saturday. So I do have some information for you. Some time ago, I discussed or brought some information back to the board about school health support services. This was a report that was done with coordination of the Ministry of Health, Child and Youth Services and Ministry of Education. Deloitte & Touche was engaged to conduct the review. This was about 1.5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, that it was done. The report was released on February 1st. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to read the whole report, but there's an opportunity for stakeholders now to have respond to the recommendations. The responses have to be in by March 27th. It's a 92-page document. So I know that OPSPO will be submitting a response to those recommendations. What I would propose to do is that I can give you a synopsis of it at the Committee of the Whole meeting in March. And if there are any actions that we would like to take, we can take that prior to March 27th as a board if we like. So I would just move to provide, either work with staff to provide some information on the report or take direction from the board. The next issue I want to bring to your attention is that there's a notice of motion from the Central West region that would require a vote. Two of the issues that they're asking for, one relates to media coverage regarding gun and gang violence. They're requesting that OPSPA requests the provincial government review the current Safe Schools Act to determine if the effectiveness of the programs and strategies designed to reduce incidents of youth violence, promote healthy relationship, and ensure safe environments in our schools and communities. That's one motion. The next motion is that the Central East motion on elementary and secondary funding inadequacies, since OPSPA sits on the School Board Administration and Governance Grant Advisory Group that OPSPA advocate for an equitable administrative funding allocation for elementary and secondary schools. I bring this to your attention only for the sake that this will be discussed and voted upon at the Board of Directors. So if we have any opinions, I'd like to hear from the members here today. One other issue that I do want to bring up is just upcoming events. The OPSPO Board of Directors have regional meetings 4 times throughout the course of the year. The last regional meeting that we had technically was not in the region. It was at the Public Education Symposium in Toronto at the end of January. The intent of that was to have some discussion around a few different issues, but unfortunately most of the time was used to elect new regional members to our work group committees, policy and program committees. I'm happy to announce that Trustee Karkner is on the program work group. Anyway, most of the time was discussed about who was eligible to vote, and that we end up having at OPSPA from time to time. So we didn't actually discuss any of the other agenda items. The next regional meeting, though, is March 26th, Saturday, here at the Upper Canada office from 10 to 3. And you're all welcome to attend. So all of the trustees within the Eastern Region boards. That would be Ottawa, Renfrew, Limestone, Hastings, Prince Edward, and the Conseil Public de l'Est Ontario. Those boards, all the trustees that are within those boards are welcome to attend. Not often do you see all trustees attend. Typically, you'll see the representatives on the board of directors attend, but certainly it's in our board office, so you're welcome to be here for all or part of that meeting. The agenda will be set ahead of time. It's actually a shared agenda, so all regions will be meeting on that particular day, and all regions will have a similar agenda. And as soon as I have that agenda, I can send it out to you and provide that information to you.
Do we have a time?
10 to 3.
10 to 3?
Yep.
Okay.
After that, the Labour Relations Symposium is on April 1st and 2nd in Toronto. And following that, the next, there'll be a Board of Directors meeting in April, last weekend in April, I believe it is, the 29th. And then our AGM typically is the first or second week in June. This year it will coincide with the Canadian Public School Board Association, and that will be, sorry, it's not Canadian Public, it's Canadian School Board Association. That will be the 8th and 9th of July, 7th, 8th, and 9th of July in Ottawa. So some information is out on that already. I can certainly share the link with you. Robinson will be one of the keynote speakers in Ottawa, and it's a good opportunity to get some professional development and get an insight on education across Canada. So we'll have that information available to you, and we can put it on board docs if that's of use to you as well. That's my report for you, Mr. Chair. I'll have more information at the next board meeting as to what actions were taken at the regional meeting, or sorry, at the Board of Directors meeting. But I'll seek your guidance on the notice of motion and on the school health support services.
Okay, comments, questions, feedback for our director? John or Peter, anything?
And no, thank you.
No, that's fine.
So I guess it's up to you.
Okay.
We'll use your guidance. All right, thanks very much, Director McDonald, for your update. We'll move now to a report from Student Trustee. Student Trustee Matt Castle, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Our third Student Senate meeting will be held this week on Friday, February 25th. As agreed upon at the previous meeting, we will be electing our new Student Trustee for next year. There has been 2 people who have applied so far, and any other students who wish to apply for the position must do so ahead of the meeting. So there isn't too much time left, but there is still a day for people to get their forms in if they're interested. Jeremy Hobbs will be speaking to the Senate about technology in our board, and Lisa Raymond will be facilitating a discussion on the issue of texting and driving, inspired by the story of the late Alex Brown. Catholic Board's Student Trustee Hilary Janot has informed me that the Catholic Board Student Senate would not be able to participate in a coterminous meeting, as the staff involved with their student council is of the opinion that they don't have the time to organize such a meeting. So although this is a setback to my plans for the remainder of the year, I am confident that myself and the trustee for next year student trustee for next year will be able to organize a great meeting in April. I attended my second OSTA conference in Ottawa from February 10th to the 13th. As mentioned in my last report, I was able to give a PowerPoint presentation on the Algonquin to Adirondack Conservation Association in the corridor, and it went well, and it was one of 2 presentations. The second was by the Toronto District School Board trustee Jenny Williams on Aboriginal education. OSTA will be releasing the results of its Ontario student survey tomorrow. Over 3,300 students participated in the survey, and I think about a few dozen from our school board. There's 63 school boards, and most of the students who had participated were in Central Ontario, but there was 31 from our board, and we'll have the results for each individual board tomorrow. The second version of the Student Senate newsletter, The Student Leader, will be released at our Student Senate meeting on Friday. A special thanks goes to Phil Alverson, who is a student trustee, a student senator rather, who did the design work again for our newsletter. And also thanks to Chair Petersma and also Trustee John McAllister for submitting content. Trustees and staff who wish to submit an item for our next newsletter may do so by sending it to me at matt.castleman@ucdsb.on.ca before the next meeting. During the conference in Ottawa, we listened to a presentation from HeartSpeak's president and founder, Shelley Steele. HeartSpeak's primary focus at the moment is to bring attention to Shannon's Dream, which is a foundation devoted to ensuring that the late Shannon Kostasian's dream of a school at the Attawabascat First Nation comes to fruition. Mrs. Steele spoke to the deplorable conditions that the community is facing and highlights the fact that, that the lack of a school perpetuates a host of other problems on the reserve and forces the youth to move away at a young age just to further their education. It is not right that children in our province are living in third world conditions and do not have access to an education in their own community. At our upcoming Student Senate meeting, we will review a motion recommendation I have drafted that would see our board officially support Shannon's Dream. I handed out a report to all the trustees today for their review, which is a draft version of my proposed motion that I'll be looking for one of you to support at the next meeting after I hear some feedback from Student Senate on Friday. And also for you guys, also in the appendices, there's a link to the HeartSpeak video on the issue that is really good, and also a link to the Canadian School Board Association's press release on the issue as well. And that's my report for this month.
Okay, are there any comments or questions?
Chair, if I could.
Yep, go ahead, Trustee McAllister.
I don't really have a question, but it's sort of a question or a comment and a support to Trustee Castleman with regard to the Ottawa situation. This is a very critical one that I know a little bit about, and I feel strongly that that our board should do everything we can to support any recommendation that comes forth from the student body on this regard. So, Trustee Castleman, you have my support on this especially, and I hope that you will be asking some very specific questions with regard to how the Upper Canada District School Board can support this initiative.
Chair Petersma?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Trustee Castleman, we have, I'm on the, I guess, the committee for Shannon's Dream with Attawabascat, and the motion, of course, that has been put forward by Member of Parliament Charlie Angus for the district. And we have a lot of material that I could probably link you to. We had I guess every 2 weeks we have a conference call. We had our conference call today at noon. We have a lot of, I guess if you want, activity going on, but the interest has just been created enormously, and I applaud you for bringing this forward, because it's not just for Attawabascat, but the whole motion is linked to conditions, especially up in the northern community of First Nations. That there are 40 communities right now without a school, without a building, with a house, with a real healthy, safe place for to receive an education. And Attawabascat, of course, was announced that they will receive a school by Minister Straw, as a matter of fact, a year and a half ago. But they're not even going to get started on that school until 2014. And that they're still without a school, but as well as others. So I applaud you. So if there's anything that you would need from me, just let me know, and I could link you up with some really key people that are pursuing this. Of course, OSFA President Catherine Price is also on the call. She's also on the committee. And during not only the Ontario Public School Board AGM, but also the Canadian School Board AGM, which piggybacks it in July, we're bringing members of Shannon Gustafson's family down to Ottawa during that period. And so I applaud you for what you're doing, but this is what I guess is the grassroots, not just for our community, but for all Canadians, to recognize that there is abject poverty and there's also abject neglect by government within Canada, which cannot go unanswered. And it's been too far, gone on too far too long. Okay, so thank you very much.
Chair, may I say one more thing?
Sure, go ahead, Trustee McAllister.
Trustee Garrow has summed this up extremely well. This is not just a critical situation, it's a very timely situation. It's timely critical. And if Trustee Garrow and Student Trustee Gassman think that there's anything that we can do to help, I would be more than willing to encourage our board to do that, and you might want to come back with some sort of a motion that we would have to have.
Yes, and you don't have the benefit of the piece that's been handed out to us, but what Student Trustee Castleman has handed us is, for lack of a better term, sort of a notice of motion. He's taking it to his student senators this Friday, and then is going to bring it back to the board with their feedback, with the hopes that a trustee would make a motion supporting this project. So I think that it's, if I understand you correctly, Student Trustee Castleman, it's your idea that the next board meeting we would vote on this as a board.
Yeah, so my hope is that on Friday I'll be able to take it to the Student Senate, and I'll be able to give me some feedback on the motion recommendation, and then I'll be able to submit a final copy to the Board of Trustees, and one of the trustees will be able to submit this on my behalf at the next board meeting.
Chair Petersma?
Yep, go ahead.
Could I make a recommendation that if it's possible to have two motions, I just have to, Trustee Castleman, if it's, it would really help, I think, if the Student Senate provided a motion, and then trustees from Upper Canada District School Board, we provide a motion as well.
Okay, thank you for that feedback.
The reason I brought that forward is because what we're really looking for is to really engage as much youth and their organizations as possible with the whole vision of Shannon. So that's why I'm looking at both motions. Not that one will be greater than the other, but I think both together would support it.
Okay.
Chair, if I might say one final thing.
I'm just going to go to Trustee McDonald, and I'll come back to you. Trustee McDonald?
Thank you. I'm not opposed to this. I just want to ensure that we've discussed this in the past. I want to ensure that we don't have any other motions on the books. So if we could review this to ensure that if we have other motions, that we either identify that and include it in some way. I mean, if we've already got a motion that says we're going to do something and we have a second motion that says we're going to do the same thing, just a housekeeping issue I think we want to be cognizant of. This has been an issue I think that's come to light for a couple of years now. Shannon's Dream is more recent, whatever. Attawapiskat has been And I remember reporting on this through OPSPA, so I'm not quite certain whether we had any motions by the board at that time or not.
We
But
will
Check that, Director.
we will check that out, and if I could further, through you, Chair. Peter,
Yes.
is it possible in a preamble that you may think of for the board to talk about the historical relationship that this board has enjoyed with our Octasosty board? I think the federal government may need some examples of groups that have come together and have created long-term relationships that have benefited both communities in a mutual way. Would you see that adding to this type of joint motion from the Student Senate and from our board?
I think it would, and I could look at that. I think that's a good idea.
I'm just looking at our coterminous Octasosty board. This may be a triple hitter if they were able to make a motion that would be a joint motion with us and our Student Senate. It may be something quite different that may enjoy perhaps some immediate attention.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. I think it would, and again, as the more impact we can make on this government, I think the better. They move, well, you know, governments move very slowly, and that's probably why Attawapiskat and other communities have been in the predicament they have. So, but it also, doing that, the impact and having somewhat of a media event really brings it to the attention of all Canadians. But the partnership that we enjoy with Upper Canada, again, I think I always look at somehow that we join hands in many ways. So this is one way we could do that.
Trustee McAllister.
I must say that I met Shannon indirectly 2 years ago in March, and unfortunately her untimely death brought this even